Weapons balance, weapons balance, weapons balance. It's a topic of discussion that's been coming around here lately. It's one of probably the most heated conversations that Battlefield players have when it comes to Battlefield. And they have their own opinions about how balance is supposed to be implemented within Battlefield. But I want to pose to you a quick question. What is weapons balance? I'm going to be honest with you, a couple points. I don't think there really is a set definition because it can mean different things to different people. What do I mean by that? Well, different people have different definitions. They look at it in different ways. Like some people, if you've ever heard the term rock, paper, scissors, some people believe that weapons should counterbalance each other. There's other people that believe that, balance not only includes weapons, but it includes the classes, between medic, support, engineer, sniper. And then other people look at balance in terms of infantry as opposed to vehicle. What I'd like to talk about particularly is specific to infantry and the balance of your arms, your weapons that you're going to be using, your assault rifles, your shotguns, your snipers, etc., etc. In the past, Battlefield's had a history of weapons and balance, and that's why this conversation gets so heated, and it's a conversation that continues throughout the game cycle because there always seems to be a weapons imbalance. As Battlefield's grown more popular and on to multi-platforms, because you remember Battlefield 2 came out, the early Battlefields were just PC. So the developers really only had to worry about the balancing guns for the PC. But then they started introducing games to the console. So now they have to worry about not only balancing the PC, but balancing the console. And this is a problem that we have seen here as of late with Battlefield 4 and Battlefield Hardline in particular, as weapons tend to act different between the platforms. A lot of people complain with Battlefield 4 that the consoles, the TTK is too long because the guns were kind of balanced and designed for the PC ported to console. In Battlefield Hardline, it's the exact opposite. The guns were, designed on console, and then they were ported to PC. So the PC guns, the TTK, seem to be a lot shorter. Now, Hardline has resolved that by making a separate profile for PC weapons where they can adjust the weapons separately from the console in an effort to try to make them match how the console feels in terms of weapons. But the truth still remains that imbalance is there. That there was these issues with trying to get the guns to act similar across the platforms. And so what I pose to you is I want to talk about weapons balance. I wanted to pose a question to the community. So I went to social media using Twitter, and I talked to the groups that I, follow, the different community members that I follow on Twitter, and I posed a question of what weapons balance was to them in an effort to kind of bring everybody together, get people thinking about weapons balance with the goal of hopefully getting this information out so that the next Battlefield, whether it's, Battlefield 5, Bad Company 3, whatever it's going to be, that the developers understand what the community's concern is with weapons balance so that they can hopefully get it right from the beginning. And so when I asked this question to the Battlefield community, pretty much came up with about 3 groups of people. And the groups consisted of, again, the rock, paper, scissors group, which you've heard that term a lot, DICE LA, you heard Tigger, David Sirlin was talking about rock, paper, scissors in terms of doing a weapons balance for Battlefield 4. These guys believe that there should be no standout weapon. A class weapon should shine in their design ranges, meaning that you have an SMG that should not outperform an AR in medium to long range. Likewise, an AR shouldn't outperform an SMG in close ranges. And then that players can choose different guns based on the situation. They want to be able to go, and if there's a close quarters conquest map or a long range map, they want to be able to choose the weapon that's going to fit that situation and perform the best for that given situation. The second group is kind of a group that's been around and everybody's kind of heard about them, and that's the realism group. And these are the guys that wish that the guns could do damage like or near to their real-life counterparts. They want the recoil, they want the loading, they want all those characteristics, including damage, just like real life. So you're talking one-shot sniper kills, 1 to 2 shot ARs, kind of ultra, what we consider not even hardcore, but sort of ultra hardcore. Okay. And then the last group, and this is kind of the group that I can kind of identify with myself, and that is balancing the guns the first time and then just leave them be. Okay. I would love to see the guns balanced from the beginning. When the game comes out, they don't have to worry about balancing a bunch of guns. Okay. Instead, if there's an issue where a gun is just so overpowered because it's a bug or some kind of code problem, the developers can go in and fix that and get it back to what it was really intended to be. You can reflect back to Battlefield 3 with some of the weapons where they would release a patch and they would inadvertently give ultra damage to, a gun that they didn't intend to do, but it was something that, the community would then identify as being an OP weapon. And, even server owners would go to just ban these guns while they were broken because they were so unfair. And then, the developers would recognize their issue, find a problem. Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh, look at this. Fix the number, go back and, fix it the way it's supposed to be. All right. And this applies, balancing for weaker guns. I mean, here's the thing. I am in the firm belief that no matter what you do, there's going to be a gun that's just going to be the best gun, okay? There's going to be guns that groups are going to flock to. It's just the nature of the beast. There's really no way that you can have no standout weapon. I think if you try to attempt to have a no standout weapon kind of balance, eventually you're going to dumb every gun down to where they all pretty much are the same, with the exception of maybe rate of fire and reload times. And I believe that, in instances like the M16A3 for Battlefield 3, for instance, this is just a good all-around gun. It performed well in all scenarios, but it really never outshined guns in their specific areas. There was always a gun that was better in short range. There was always a gun that was better in medium range. Maybe the M16 probably was the best gun in medium range, but there was a gun that was always better at long range. But the M16 could perform admirably in all three of those scenarios. I think that's just the way it has to be, in my opinion. So I would like to see that balance, and a lot of people also thought this, is that they would wish that they would just get the balancing right at the beginning. Okay, so what about the next Battlefield? Here's some ideas that came across, and I thought they were interesting. And they were looking at some came up to me with this and said, let's, how about doing a couple different damage models? Okay, well, currently we have normal and we have hardcore. Okay, so here's the deal. Normal would be 100% damage, and and you could add multipliers as necessary, like a 2-time multiplier for your headshot, or a 1.8. I think that's what Battlefield 4 does now. You could do a 0.7 or 0.8 for shots that aren't aimed, in vital areas. Penalize them for shooting them in the foot, for instance. And then somebody brought up the idea, well, how about even adding a third damage profile, what they call tactical realism. And that would be like 175% damage. Okay, that would address all those guys that would like to have that realism added in the Battlefield. But it would be something that you could run on a server that would, it'd be just like a hardcore server or a normal vanilla server. They could have a server set to tactical realism so that the damage profile, gives them a realistic, real-life sim, a mill sim, for instance, of these guns. I personally don't really care to have that. I don't even like hardcore. I'm pretty against hardcore, to be honest. I'd rather have a normal. I like the normal. But for those guys that want something like that, they have that option. So, what I would like to see is I'd like to see the developers work on weapons so that they're balanced from the beginning. This does a couple of things. At first, it allows the developers time to focus on developments and the bug fixes. It gives them the time to design better maps. It gives them the time to design more vehicles, camos, weapon skins, added features, Easter eggs, all those things that we like in Battlefield. You think about the amount of time that they have spent in balancing guns, balancing your attachments, all these things that they could have, instead of focusing on that, they could have spent their time focusing on added content that is new, that works, that the community can enjoy. If they were to be able to do that, it would reduce costs of the game. First of all, it would give us more content that we could enjoy, and it would allow them to use their creative minds to be able to produce better stuff. Also, it gives us a more enjoyable experience upon the release of the game, because we don't have, we're not getting owned by one particular weapon. We have balance from the beginning. We can enjoy the game. We can play the game as it's intended. And lastly, with that, they would need to use the beta as a proper beta. That's one of the big complaints that a lot of the community has had in the past, is that instead of the beta being a beta, it's more of a demo, and that nothing really changes a lot when it comes out of the demo. Now, I know personally that's not necessarily the case with a lot of things, but there has been instances where the betas come out. We have, as a community, seen imbalances there that need to be addressed, and yet some of those imbalances end up in the game upon release. And, we throw up our hands in the air going, well, what in the crap, So they really need to use the beta and listen to the community. Community's the best sounding board. As they say, the Battlefield community is one of the most passionate communities in the gaming community. Okay, we're very passionate about Battlefield. We want the game to be a true Battlefield experience. We want to be able to go and, if we want to go C4 stuff, we can C4 stuff. If we want to pull crazy Randazooks or whatnot, we want to do that. If we want to PTFO, we can PTFO. But we want to be able to do it with weapons that work the way they're intended to work, and not something that is so imbalanced that it, takes away from the game. So use the beta as it's intended, work out the balance issues in the beta, even balance weapons in the beta, and then update the beta so that we could test it before it goes to release. Let the community be the sounding board on that, because you really will get the best critiques, in my opinion. The proof's in the pudding. Just look at the CTE. So that's really what I wanted to talk about with weapons balance. I don't have the right answer. I don't think really anybody has the right answer. I think weapons balance is very complex. I think it's more complex than people can imagine. And we have a lot of guys out there that love the stats. You got the guys from Synthic that do the data mining on these weapons. You got the guys that live for this stuff. I don't even know if they could really answer the question of what is weapons balance. It's just a very complex question to ask. And there's just a lot that goes into it. And, depending on how a player plays, depending on the type of map that they play, they could have their own view on what weapons balance is. They may have a very narrow view because they only play one class, or they may only play one game mode that requires you to play in just close quarters. So they don't think about those guns that are long-range guns or medium-range guns, or the LMGs that have the power but yet really don't perform well in close quarters engagements. So all those different aspects that we have to think about, all those variables that we have to bring into this whole weapons balance discussion, it's just very confusing, and the developers really have a job on their hands when they have to do it. But I think by allowing the community to be involved in it, and to take their constructive criticisms on balances, when they're playing the new game when it comes out, I think that we can end up having a balanced Battlefield. Something that we can enjoy from the get-go, that we're not complaining about guns. Instead, we're playing the game as is intended. So that's really it, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed this commentary. Please let me know what you think about weapons balance in the comments below. I would like to hear from you. This is a discussion that's going to continue to go on. It always will. It's probably the most heated discussion that you'll ever have in Battlefield, and it's just one that just never goes away. And I enjoy talking about it. I like to hear people's opinions about it. And we had plenty of them on social media, on Twitter. But I'd also like to hear from you if you're watching this video. So please comment below. Let me know. I'll read them all. Trust me. And I will make sure if you got any questions about it or you want my opinion on specifics, please ask a question. I'll answer the best that I can. And that's really it, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this commentary. Please, if you liked it, give me the thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. And as Battlefield 5 or Battlefield, whatever it's going to be, 2016 comes out, I will be hitting the YouTube hard and heavy, trying to get you as much information as I know about the game, about the weapons, about any news release, that sort of thing. So we're looking forward to the news coming out here, coming up in the next couple months. I'm fully anticipating on hearing and seeing Battlefield 5 to Battlefield 2016 for the first time, possibly at the EA Play event or soon thereafter. So anyway, guys, keep in tune. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll make sure to get the information out to you as soon as we hear about it. Appreciate it, guys. Y'all be good, and we'll see you on the battlefield. Bye-bye.